Today I'm going to show you how to get your supplies out for clay and how to work with clay a little bit. First off, you want to make sure your fingernails are cut short because you don't want to get clay up underneath your fingernails and you don't want your fingernails to make marks. You also want to make sure jewelry is off so that you don't get clay in it and so that they don't make marks in your clay that you don't want. So I'm going to put them in my pockets. You can always welcome to wear an apron, like I have an apron on. They are hanging just around the corner of this room, in between the clay room and the drawing room. And so you're welcome to wear one of those. And your supplies. You have different tools over here. You'll find different tools, so you can just grab what you need as you need it. So I'm just going to grab a few tools right now. Find one that I want that's actually straight. Grab a loop tool, a couple loop tools. Okay, so I have clay tools here. Over in that corner is the clay. You want to find some that isn't too dried out. Oh, there's slip, and then there's clay. So the bigger boxes are clay, the smaller boxes are slip. That feels pretty good. And then bring it back over here. Show you how to cut your clay. You open a bag. Make sure you roll the bag down past the clay so you don't cut the bag. You have a wire tool. Just a piece of wire with two handles on the end. You line it up where you want it to slide, cut, and it's just like cutting a slice of cheese. So you just pull it through. There's your piece of clay. Makes a pretty smooth cut if you grab hold of both of them and pull them at the same time. If you don't want a whole piece like that, you can always cut it across that way and then cut it in half that way, put a piece back if you don't need it, close the bag up, unless somebody's standing there waiting to get their own piece, then you can leave it open for them and they have to make sure it closes up. And that's all there is to cutting. You also need, from over here, a cloth. So they're in this box right here in the middle section. So the first thing you want to do with your slab, your piece of clay, is, first off, before I go over that, do not share clay. Clay has moisture in it. It traps the germs that are on your hands. Urine may not be sick, but somebody might get sick from the germs you pass on. So make sure you do not share clay. So you just get a small amount at a time. So I'm going to take and wedge this piece of clay. So I'm going to kind of roll it over. Now wedging you do so that you don't have any air pockets, because if you have any air pockets in your clay, you will end up with an explosion in the kiln and then it won't be a project anymore. It'll be just in pieces. So to wedge clay, you take and fold it over a little bit and then lift it up and push it back down, kind of like kneading dough. If anybody's ever done that before, just push it down just a little bit, and if you're doing it correctly, you should get a spiral on the end. So you can start to see there's a spiral here going, and then I'm going to go the other direction. I'm going to do the same thing. So just a little bit of a wedge here, just a little bit of a fold over at a time. I just pick it up on its point that I've squished down and push it back down. Pick it up and push it away from me. Notice that I kind of lean against that cloth so it doesn't roll away from me, because the cloth tends to like to do that, but the cloth is there to keep from getting clay all over the table. Okay, so now I spiraled it the other way. Now I got a spiral going on this side. Okay, so if I want to make a slab, then I need some other tools. So I have my piece of clay, I have my cloth. I need a couple of slats or rulers that are the same size, same thickness. Whichever one you grab, it has to be the same thickness. So I'll grab a couple rulers. And then I have rolling pins here, over here, and I have bigger ones up here. It just depends on what size slab you're rolling out. I'm just going to grab a small one right now. So I'm going to take my rulers, and I'm going to make sure, since I'm using rulers, these flat pieces are going to be closer to the clay. These slanted pieces are away from the clay. I put them on the sides. I squash my clay a little bit down with my palm of my hand. Now and take and roll out my clay. Now I'm not all the way down yet, and I think I've gone far enough. That's the width I want to go this way. So if I want it to go longer that way, I'm going to turn my cloth, turn my rulers so they're still on the side so I can easily roll. Make sure my rulers are able to touch against the rolling pin once it gets down there, and I roll it out till it hits those rolling pin, the rulers. The rolling pin hits the rulers and it can't move the clay anymore. So right now I have kind of a wrinkle right here. That means that it's not completely flat yet. So I have to keep rolling until it is completely flat. I can feel that it is not going to move any more clay. So it's all the way down. So a slab is an even thickness of clay. It is even thickness to these rulers. All nice and even. Okay? I can now take, I can now take a needle tool or a knife and I can cut it into whatever shape I want. I'm going to draw lightly at first to decide what size I want, what shape I want. And then I can start cutting once I have that design. If I don't like what I drew before I start cutting it out, I can just erase it with my finger lightly. I don't want to press too hard because I want to keep my thickness of slab, and I can redraw it. And I'm going to cut it in sections, and as I do, I'm going to peel away the clay that I don't want. That way my slab stays nice and even thickness. So I'm peeling away all the slab that I don't want, and I'm keeping the piece that I do want. So I have an even thickness. Now to keep that from warping, I'm going to transfer it onto a board and keep it flat. So over here, in the middle section are boards. So I'm going to grab a board. And there's a white side to this and a grayish side. You want to make sure the clay is on the white side. So you lay the white side down on top of it. You put your hand on top of the board, and your other hand you're going to spread out and slide the clay onto your hand that's spread out to keep it flat, and then you flip it over and you remove the cloth. Now you have a nice even thickness of slab, hasn't warped on you or anything. If you want to change it, you certainly can, but if you want to keep it an even thickness, that's how you're going to do it. Now if you don't like this side as your good side, then you'd have to take another board and flip it back over, okay? All right, so that's slab, wedging, and slab.